Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We start our lectures with the diarrheal disease of children, which is a very important subject. We start by acute diarrhea in children. Our objectives. Before starting, we should know our objectives regarding this subject. We are going to define the subject and to evaluate its importance, approaching its prevalence, pathogenesis, and management. We are going to discuss dehydration, the causes of dehydration types, presentation and management, chronic diarrhea causes and management. Management of acute diarrhea in children. Welcome to the module on management of acute diarrhea in children. Diarrheal disease remains a leading cause of morbidity and mortality among children in low and middle income countries. Most deaths result from the associated shock, dehydration, and electrolyte disturbances or imbalance. In malnutrition, the risk of acute diarrhea, AD, its complications and mortality are much more than in good or well-nourished children. Learning the outcomes. By the end of this module, you should be able or competent in the management of acute diarrhea and dehydration. In particular, you should be able to describe when to use the oral or parenteral fluids and what solutions to use, to identify the malnourished child and adjust management accordingly, to describe when antibiotic treatment is indicated or needed, and the adverse effect of the overuse of antibiotic, and to describe the use of zinc in acute diarrhea. By definition, acute diarrhea. There is a wide range of normal stool patterns in children, which makes the precise definition of acute diarrhea quite difficult. But usually we depend on the mother's knowledge about the habits of the child bowel motion. قسم من الأمهات تقول لك يوميا تطلع بطنها مرة أو مرتين أو 3 مرات، فإذا هي متعودة على هالريت it is usual and normal habit. But any change from the usual or normal habit, it is considered diarrhea or constipation. It depends on the frequency, the volume, and the consistency. Any change from the habit told this information once got from the mother, this indicates a condition of diarrhea. According to the WHO, World Health Organization, acute diarrhea is the passage of stools or watery stools 3 times or more in a 24-hour period up to 14 days. Because we consider the acute diarrhea is not anymore acute once it passes or crosses the 14 days duration, after which we use to call it chronic. In the breastfed infant, the diagnosis is based on a change in the usual stool frequency and consistency as reported by the mother. Acute diarrhea must be differentiated from the persistent or chronic diarrhea, which is less than 14 days in duration and may begin acutely. Typically, this occurs in association with malnutrition, may be complicated by dehydration. Causes of or risk factors in acute diarrhea. The stakeholders or risk factors هم راح يكونون diarrheal pathogen, the host factor, and the environmental factors. We have so many causes and types of diarrhea. We have the infectious type for etiology for diarrhea, infectious causes and non-infectious causes. Regarding the infectious ones, we start by the viral, which is the most common cause for diarrhea, acute diarrhea in children. The rotavirus constitutes around 50% of the cases. Parvovirus, Coxsackie virus, and echovirus. It affects the intestine itself and usually preceded by upper respiratory tract infection in children below the 2 years of age. Any viral infection will cause you to have a systemic reaction more than bacterial, because bacterial is usually localized, but the viral usually comes in our body and separates in the body. For example, يعني لما يكون عندي viral infection or a child with a viral infection, usually they have more than one sign and symptoms, not purely diarrhea. They can have They can have flu, they can have fever, diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain, because usually viruses separates in the body of a human being. Rotavirus, it is the most common cause for infectious diarrhea. It constitutes around 50% of the total cases. Bacterial diarrhea caused by E. coli, Shigella, Yersinia enterocolitica, Salmonella, Staph aureus, which is the food poisoning, Vibrio cholera, parasitic infections, Entamoeba histolytica, and Giardia. What about the non-infectious causes? Feeding problems such as type of milk, concentration of milk, and the technique of feeding, anatomical defects such as malrotation, surgical causes such as Hirschsprung congenital congenital megacolon, and short bowel syndrome. Hirschsprung, by which we mean there is a segment without nerve supply, a ganglionic part in the colon, which causes severe constipation and sometimes complicated by enterocolitis. And we call it the congenital megacolon. Also, the short bowel syndrome, malabsorption, dye and monosaccharidase deficiency, celiac disease, fructose intolerance. Endocrine causes, thyrotoxicosis, Addison disease, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, neoplasms, neuroblastoma, ganglioneuroma, pheochromocytoma, and carcinoid tumor. By miscellaneous, we mean so many types of causes for diarrhea: milk allergy, inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, and ulcerative, as we all know, immune deficiency, Brody-Luzzi enteropathy, hemolytic uremic syndrome, acrodermatitis enteropathica, laxative abuse, and antibiotic therapy. What about the types of diarrhea? Let's learn about the types of diarrhea. We have 6 main types: the acute watery diarrhea, dysentery, which means we have a mucus with or without blood in stools. Persistent diarrhea, this is the post-infectious. Sometimes we read in books the post-infectious diarrhea. This is, we call it the persistent. Chronic diarrhea, parenteral diarrhea, and the toddler's diarrhea. Let's take a look at the clinical types of diarrhea by starting with acute watery diarrhea. In definition, the diarrhea that starts acutely and lasts for less than 7 days without visible blood. It may be associated with fever and vomiting. It is the most important and common type. The dangers of this type of diarrhea are, because it is watery and acute, we expect to have dehydration. And with the dehydration, we might have potassium depletion, leading to severe caloric deficiency and maybe even renal impairment, leading to metabolic acidosis. In severe or recurrent cases or mismanaged cases, it may lead to expected malnutrition. Common pathogens causing this acute watery diarrhea are the rotavirus, constituting more than 50% of the cases. Again, viruses are the most common causes for diarrhea, especially rotavirus. Bacterial اللي هي Shigella, enterotoxogenic E. coli, Salmonella, Vibrio cholera, Campylobacter jejuni, enteropathogenic E. coli. We have so many types of E. coli. What about the acute watery diarrhea, also referred to as dysentery? This is the passage of blood in stools, and it is a result of damage of the intestinal mucosa by an invasive organism. And what led to the production or the appearance of blood in the stools is the invasion. There should be an invasion or destruction to the mucosa of the gastrointestinal wall. The complications are sepsis, and by definition, it is the diarrhea that is accompanied by mucus with or without blood. What about the dangers of this type of diarrhea? Because it causes invasion, this might lead to septicemia because of the invasive organisms are going to reach the blood, hemolytic uremic syndrome, malnutrition because of the anorexia and the intestinal mucosal damage. Organisms that can lead to such a condition: Shigella, Entamoeba histolytica, Campylobacter jejuni, enteroinvasive E. coli, enterohemorrhagic E. coli. What about the persistent diarrhea, which we call the post-infectious diarrhea? By definition, it is the diarrhea that begins as acute watery or bloody diarrhea and lasts for at least 14 days. There is usually an infectious cause or the damage that results from the infection. So the danger of this type of diarrhea dangers are dehydration, septicemia, secondary disaccharidase deficiency, cow milk protein allergy, and malnutrition. Simply, persistent diarrhea is resulting from an infection. It doesn't differ from the chronic diarrhea, just in the point that chronic diarrhea is not necessarily an end of an infection. A sequelae of infection that is leading to chronic diarrhea is called the persistent infectious diarrhea. يعني شنو فرق الانفكشنس diarrhea عن الكرونيك diarrhea؟ الكرونيك diarrhea مو شرط يكون عندي infection وصار السيكولي مالته. But the infectious diarrhea, persistent diarrhea is the sequelae of an infection. Any organism, but especially Shigella, enteroadherent E. coli, and the Cryptosporidium can cause persistent diarrhea. Chronic diarrhea. It is the recurrent and long-lasting diarrhea due to non-infectious etiologies such as celiac disease, cystic fibrosis, autoimmune villus atrophy, A-beta lipoproteinemia, and so on. Most important danger of chronic diarrhea is definitely will be malnutrition. What about parenteral diarrhea? By definition, the diarrhea that occurs due to infection elsewhere in the body as otitis media, meningitis, pneumonia, or UTI. This is because of the inflammatory mediators. Treatment of the original infection will resolve the GIT symptoms. يعني أنا عندي فد infection somewhere in the body. هذه immune mediators راح تصير بيها will be reflected on the GIT causing diarrhea. Once I treat the original infection, I'm going to treat the GIT symptom. What about the toddler's diarrhea? By definition, it is the diarrhea that occurs in the children in the preschool age. It's usually watery with undigested food. The child is thriving very well. No evidence of malabsorption, no dehydration, no RBCs or white VCs in the general stool examination. It has unknown etiology or pathogenesis, but rapid colonic transit time with family history of functional bowel syndrome is usually there. You don't have to treat because reassurance is quite enough. Try to reassure the parents and tell them that it is a self-limiting condition. Even if it persists, it doesn't harm or cause any harm to the child. No diet restriction is needed. Let's talk about mechanisms of diarrhea. We have 4 mechanisms of diarrhea. These are mechanisms, not causes. We talked about 6 types of diarrhea. هسه راح نحكي على mechanisms of diarrhea. And so many types of diarrhea might have more than one mechanism involved. Let's start by osmotic diarrhea. It is the diarrhea that occurs due to the ingestion of poorly absorbed osmotically active substances that cause shifting of the water into the intestinal lumen. For example, if you stop the oral feeding, the diarrhea will stop. وهاي ناس وهاي أطفال من يبدي يأكل مادة معينة يبدي يصير عنده ديارية. فأول شيء من الأم تقول لي الطفل هذا صار عنده ديارية، أحاول شنو اللي يدخل للفيدينج ليست مالته أو الحليب مالته. أحاول إذا وقفت هذه المادة اللي هي offending osmotically active وشفت الطفل تحسن, this is definitely an osmotic diarrhea mechanism. Such as ingestion of high carbohydrates diet, congenital lactase sucrase isomaltase deficiency, primary, يعني هو congenitally deficient in these enzymes, infections with rotavirus or salmonella or enterohemorrhagic E. coli, giardia, causing severe shedding of the villi that contain the disaccharidase enzyme. هذا loss of the enzyme اللي صار because of the shedding of the villi because of the diarrhea is going to lead me to a secondary lactase deficiency state. And this is different from the primary by its being temporary and can be corrected. But the primary, this is a congenital one. So primary lactase deficiency is a congenital one. Secondary is due to acute infection leading to shedding of the villi, leading to deficiency in the enzyme and secondary lactase deficiency. Celiac disease, autoimmune enteropathy, antibiotic use and abuse of laxatives. What about the secretory diarrhea? It occurs due to active secretion of anions, chloride and bicarb, followed by passive water secretion. يعني هنا الإنسان مو بس راح يفقد water, he is going to lose what? Electrolytes. And most important of which is the chloride and bicarb. For this type of diarrhea, if you stop the feeding, the diarrhea will not stop. This is a very important point to differentiate between the osmotic and the secretory diarrhea. Causes of secretory diarrhea, we might have luminal factors, bacterial enterotoxins, as the cholera, enterotoxogenic E. coli, staph, and the Clostridium, hydroxy fatty acids that is produced by the bacterial digestion of malabsorbed dietary lipids, non-absorbed bile acids. وهنا ممكن يشوف why أطفال اللي عندهم chronic liver disease might have chronic diarrhea. Endogenous factors, hormones secreted by the tumors like vasoactive peptides, inflammatory mediators released in response to food allergy, inflammatory bowel disease or systemic diseases, activation of the adenylate cyclase enzyme by some bacteria which stimulates the formation of cyclic AMP, which leads to activation of protein phosphorylation that triggers the chloride secretion and impaired sodium absorption. These are mechanisms we are going to learn to know the mechanisms of diarrhea. How to differentiate between the osmotic versus secretory diarrhea. Volume of stools less than 200 ml versus more than 200 ml. هذه احنا نحكي بالأوزموتيك تكون الووتر والإلكترولايت أقل من السكرتاري، فلذلك نشوفها أقل من 200 باليوم بالأوزموتيك وأكثر من 200 بالسكرتاري. The response to fasting diarrhea versus diarrhea continues osmotic to secretory. بالأوزموتيك يتحسن، بالسكرتاري does not matter. Stool sodium level بالأوزموتيك أقل من 70، بالسكرتاري more than 70 milli equivalent per liter. Reducing substances positive in osmotic versus negative in secretory, usually because the sugars are reducing substances, so positive in osmotic and negative in secretory. And last, the stool pH, which is acidic in the osmotic and non-acidic in the secretory. What about the third mechanism, deranged motility, due either to hypo or hypermotility of the intestine? Hypermotility, such as thyrotoxicosis, intestinal infection, and laxative abuse, hypomotility in a blind loop syndrome, leading to intestinal pseudo-obstruction and bacterial contamination, bacterial overgrowth, leading to some sort of enterocolitis. What about the fourth mechanism? Here we have ulceration, exudation of the mucosa, such as in the inflammatory bowel diseases, collagen vascular diseases, or dysentery. شيجيلا, انتاميبا histolytica, أو الtypes اللي هي causing يعني damage to the intestinal wall of the E. coli. The stools will be full of blood, mucus, exudates, but there is no much loss of a fluid, while protein loss is more, leading to a state of protein losing enteropathy and generalized edema. يعني هنا دخلت لي كل الميكانيزمز، دخلت الأوزموتيك ودخلت السكرتري ودخلت الموتيليتي ودخلت الدامج، وكله راح يؤدي لي إلى loss of protein leading to generalized condition of generalized edema and protein losing enteropathy. Complications and consequences of watery diarrhea, we have dehydration, potassium depletion, base deficit acidosis, renal failure, convulsions, and cerebral damage and cerebral venous thrombosis.